Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is Tracy Eman with the WSA Bookstore, and today I'm excited to have one of our authors who has her book Beyond Chaos, Journey to Freedom and Joy. Thank you so much for joining me today, Debra Valentina.
Well, I am just thrilled to be here. So thank you for the invitation.
So I love the idea that your book is a memoir, and I would love for you to tell us maybe a little bit about your background.
I'll talk about my professional background. Probably is the best thing to talk about. So I have been trained as an healthcare executive and administrator from UC Berkeley and Stanford. And so for the first 10 years of my career, I was working for corporations like Kaiser and First Health. And then I decided I'm really more of an entrepreneur than I am a corporate gal. And so I went off on my own. And so I've had my own business for 35 years. I can't believe it's 35 years, but yet it is. And I started out doing mostly healthcare consulting and health coaching for healthcare executives, mostly women. And now I call myself a transformational mindset coach, and then I'm an international speaker and an author, a published author. And this is my third book. However, I was thinking about it, and I've been published since the seventh grade. So I've been writing for a really long time, and I love it.
I love that. That's incredible. What was your first book?
My first book was Heart Ignited. Um, and Heart Ignited, Living a Joyful Life. So
Oh.
joy is a theme here, but it was Heart Ignited, Living a Joyful Life.
Oh, I love that. That's so incredible. And that you're continuing to write and that this book came into being. Can you tell us what this book is about? Because I think that it's probably going to lead, there's obviously that thread of joy that you're finding throughout life.
Yes, well, the book is really about my journey through life. And the beyond chaos part is that I had a highly challenging childhood, like many of us. And my journey led me from really a lot of chaos to a lot of joy. And that was my intention, and I worked really a little tushy off to do that. But it's all about my journey. And what's interesting is as I was writing the book, it's not in chronological order, which is interesting. It's more theme based. So that and it turned out to be uh, quite interesting how it came out. So I call it kind of channeling my life, and it came out in a particular order, and I decided not to change the order.
What was meant to be was meant to be, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Did you, when you decided to write this book, why did you write it? Was it a journey of your own self discovery and sharing it out that way, or did you write it with the intention of being able to talk to a certain audience?
Well, there are several questions in that question, so here's how I'll answer it. I decided that I was ready to write the book in 2019, and how I knew I was ready is that I was able to speak in my voice, in my writing voice, without sounding or feeling like a victim. And I had always known that I was going to, for a very long time, I knew I was going to write my story. And I was deliberately waiting so that I could inspire people rather than depress people, I guess is how I would say it. Um, and so, I consider the book inspiring for people who have had, you know, uh, challenging childhoods or who are struggling currently. And it's an upbeat book about how you can really overcome anything, really. And so that's why I wrote the book now.
Well, that's beautiful. I mean, it's a story of resilience, of being able to sort of look on the other side of things that maybe people are going through right now. And I love how you said that it was written kind of as a theme type, theme based, right? As opposed to being chronological order. So are people able to maybe just open up the book on a certain sort of chapter or that maybe will speak to them at that point? Does that work well for
Oh,
people?
that's an interesting way to look at it. Yes. And I have been told that people do read it that way. And there's a table of contents, and so you could do it by the table of contents, and or you could, as I do often with inspirational reading, I just open it up to a page and see what I get, or ask a question and see what I get. But I was just, since I was talking about themes, I'm just gonna read a couple of them. Hospitals and healing, chaos and jealousy, young leadership, path to feeling worthy, and more provocative, I guess, is sex, money, and men. And so those are some of the titles, and there's many more, but that's just a little flavor of how it came, again, how it came out. Um, and I think it's much more interesting for some reason, rather than going from, I was born and then now I'm in my 60s. So anyway, thanks for bringing me back to that about the themes.
Yeah, I think it's a really great way of doing things. People will will be feeling a certain way and wanting to go in and it sounds to me like you're talking about this. I know that you had said that you wanted when you were sharing your story, you wanted to share the story and not sort of elicit that feeling or the emotion of sadness or overwhelm, but instead, that feeling of hope and joy and potential and a little bit of humor. It sounds like you've interjected in there as well.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And at the end of the book, I actually have questions for people to contemplate. So, contemplative questions to look back at their own lives to see, themes, and also how they've overcome certain challenges, and also, the kind of qualities that assisted them. And certainly, sense of humor is at the top of my list. I I think I can find sense of humor in almost anything, even in the most, dire of situations. And I love to laugh, and so there is quite a bit of humor in the book. That was how I meant to write it, and the feedback is that it came out that way.
So that is so awesome because the world needs more laughter, and I love that you're doing this, Deborah. Now, I was just thinking as you're saying about those questions in the back of the book. So for an individual that purchased your book, they have those questions in the back to ponder. But what a great book to put into a book club where you have those book club questions at the end. So, anybody that is looking for a new book for their book club, I think this would be an awesome one.
Yes, I really thank you for saying that, Tracy, because it really is a book that invokes you wanting to talk about it.
Yeah.
And when I have, been with people who have read my book, that's absolutely, they just want to sit down and explore and talk about, the subjects. And so, yes, I think it would be perfect for book clubs. Absolutely.
Well, I am so happy that you're out there making an impact like this in the world. And I want people to know where they can get their hands on your book. And do you have a book handy that you can show us?
Absolutely. I just read from my chapters. So here's the book, Beyond Chaos, Journey to Freedom and Joy. And what I also just am so proud of, so I want to just point it out, the book cover is my watercolor. So I'm also, in addition to all the things I told you, I'm also a watercolorist, and I'm thrilled that this got to show up so nicely on the cover of my book.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. So how can the people get a hold of you other than the WSA bookstore because you are featured on there, but also directly, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, beyondchaosbook.com. So you'll beyondchaosbook.com, and there'll be information about the book as well as a link to get it. And then also you can, of course, get it on Amazon. So amazon.com and beyondchaosbook.com.
And I think I saw that they can also request one chapter out of your book by signing up for your newsletter.
Absolutely. You can, if you go to beyondchaosbook.com, you just put in your email and you get to download the first chapter, which is a doozy. I don't know, it still gets my attention, and I'm the one who lived it. So I invite people yes, to get the first chapter.
Wonderful. Well, I know I'm going to do that. And I want to thank you again for joining me today.
It was delightful, actually. Thank you so much, Tracy.
You're very welcome.